So next up we have Kennard. I forgot to double check. I checked with you. Ali wears many hats. He'll explain that to you. He is the CEO of Pinpoint Earth, but you can set that aside because he's actually presenting on software solutions from OLSPS.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, as alluded to, I do wear a few different caps. I work for the Snap Group, and within the Snap Group is Pinpoint Earth, which I'm the CEO of, and Team Fish, where I work in the sales side. And we've done some work collaborating with OLSPS, and unfortunately Amos couldn't make it here today. So I volunteered to do his presentations for him so that we would still have them. So I will do my best to present it in the way Amos will, but if there's any Amos fans here, I'm sorry if I've let you down that I'm not Amos. So the project I'm going to sort of go through with you today, this is a real project that was done up in the Northeast Atlantic scallop fishery, and it was about minimizing the bycatch there. The bycatch there is actually a choke species, so when they hit a certain amount of that bycatch, that actually closes the scallop fishery as well. So avoiding it was imperative for them. So as I say, it's a mixed fishery. The Northeast Atlantic scallops are really lucrative fish up there, but you have the yellowtail flounder, which we can see at the bottom, which is an unintentional bycatch. Unfortunately, when it's at its peak is also when the scallop is at its best as well. So it's really difficult for them to still be able to fish and avoid it, because you can see the areas here on the map where we have the scallop fisheries as well as where the flounder is. So there's massive crossover between the two. So it's an unavoidable bycatch for them. As I say, it's governed by a sub-annual catch limit. So when the allocated quota for the flounder is reached, that's when the season ends. And so that will close the scallop fishery. But as I say, the scallop fishery, its highest growth period does coincide with the peak flounder spawning season. So you can see there's a mass crossover there between the two. As soon as it hits the limit of the yellowtail flounder caught, that's it. It closes the fishery, and it has about an 85% discard mortality as well. So it's a really high mortality on the flounder. So trying to avoid it is in the best interest for everybody within that fishery. So as I say, it closes the fishing season when that happens, but not only does it close the fishing season, that comes at a huge cost of about 1.7 million pounds of scallop meat, which comes in at about $11.8 million. So there's a huge financial cost in that fishery closing early as well. So the good thing about this, and the fact that there is such a financial cost, is the fishing companies approached OLSPS to work with them. So they were on board from the start with trying to get a resolution for this one. So the bycatch avoidance tool they came up with utilizes the OLRAC DDM and the DDL. So the DDL is the vessel-based unit. So on this system, on the DDL, you're collecting your catch data, your bycatch data. You're also collecting sea surface temperature, any sensor data as well. So you're getting a really holistic view of what's happening at the time that the vessel is fishing. And that then sends all the data back to the DDM. So that's your shore-based unit, which is then used for compliance. It's used for scientific management. It's used for marketing. But it's really where all the data is collated. And generally, up until now, that's all been collated via the individual fishing company. So rather than being shared amongst a fishing fleet, each individual company would have their own data, their own information on the catch per user effort, where they've caught their fish. Nothing else would be shared. So they would all know where their fishing data was, but they wouldn't understand the bycatch as a whole. So what OLSPS did is they used the same tool. So it was the same tool used on all the vessels and the shore unit, but instead of having it to an individual company, it was shared across the fleet. So all of the fleet would record all their catch and their bycatch on board the vessel. That then would generate a catch per user effort report, which they all transmit into the central part. And then the DDM combines and standardizes the bycatch. So, and it is the bycatch only. They're not looking at any other catch. They're not looking at where the scallops have been caught. It's literally just the bycatch data that they collate here. And you can see here on this map where those red areas are. That's where the high frequency of flounder was being caught during that day. So once it generates this, it's got all the information of where the bycatch is. It then sends that information back to the vessels. So every vessel user gets an alert saying there's a new bycatch map. They then all load this up onto their maps here. and they all have a aggregated bycatch map, so they know the areas to avoid fishing. They don't know where anyone else has caught scallops, they just know where not to go to catch the yellowtail, so they're then immediately avoiding that bycatch. And they can be refreshed and shared at any time. So obviously, during the day, there may be sort of changes in where they've caught bycatch, so it can be updated on a regular basis. So it's real-time data that's being sent back on the bycatch, collated via all the vessels. So the results from it, it was deployed successfully on 15 scallop vessels, and it demonstrated that using the e-logs is possible to share that data in real time that benefited the whole fleet without giving away any secret spots or any sort of commercial advantage that other companies may have. The only thing that was being shared was the bycatch. So it's really important just to stress that that was the only thing that was shared. And it was shared in a way that was acceptable. The costs weren't huge. Mostly they were in cell range, but they would go via Iridium SPD otherwise. So it was small, minimal data costs to share this information. And it meant that, the privacy of the data for the map generation was really good. They knew where to fish, they knew where not to fish, and they were able to keep the season going for a lot longer for them, so obviously increased their yield as well. And that's the end of, I've gone through his presentation really quickly. But yeah, on behalf of Amos and his team, thank you to everyone at SAFET for allowing them to be here, and to all the participating scallop vessels, and of course to his team as well. Thank you.